So you've learned ChatGPT, you've learned Claude, you've played around with agents, automations, all of it. And then you hit the awkward part. What are you actually supposed to do with all this? Because everyone online has the same answer. Sell automations to small businesses, post on LinkedIn every morning about how AI changed your life. And for most Australians, I think this is terrible advice. Not because there's no opportunity, there absolutely is. But most people watching this are not trying to become Silicon Valley founders. They have a job, a mortgage, a family, and a career they've spent years building. And a fair instinct not to blow all that up because someone online called AI consulting the next gold rush. So here's what this is about. There is a smarter, lower risk move than starting an AI agency. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make it without quitting anything. And this is the move. Become the AI person at work. Not the annoying one who tells everyone to use ChatGPT. The one who understands the job, knows where the work is getting stuck, and can actually use AI to fix it without making a mess. And here is the thing to sit with. The job title for this barely exists yet. The people who become the person before the title shows up are going to be in a very good position when it does. So pull up a seat, regulars. Let's get into it. First, one thing you have to understand, the tools do not sit still. Getting good at Claude right now, or whatever is winning this month, is useful. But if all you know is the tool, you are building on shifting ground. Today's best model becomes tomorrow's old model, and your company can block one and approve another. So the durable skill is not knowing where the buttons are, it is knowing how to look at the work. Can you spot the bottleneck? Can you work out whether AI should even touch that process, test it without creating risk, and measure whether it actually helped? That is the skill, and it lasts while everything on top of it churns. Here is the opening. The building side is getting easier every month. You do not need to be a software engineer to make useful things anymore. The barrier has dropped, which creates a new problem. Almost everyone can use AI now. Almost nobody is good at applying it. The gap is the opportunity. Australian businesses are not asleep. The National AI Centre's tracking found that around 43% of Australia's small to medium businesses reporting some kind of AI adoption across the December to February quarter, bouncing to 44% in February 2026. They are trying things, but opening ChatGPT and improving a business are not the same thing. And there is a number that proves that from MIT. This one is everywhere. It's being picked apart on its methodology, but the direction holds. They looked at 300 real enterprise AI projects and found 95% of them delivered no measurable impact on the bottom line. 95%. Not because the AI didn't work, the models are fine. Because nobody could get them out of the demo and into the actual work in a way that moved a real number. That gap is worth a fortune. There is a job that barely existed 18 months ago, the forward deployed engineer, the person a company sends in to make AI actually work inside real businesses. In the US, postings grew by more than 700% in a single year, paid like a top engineering role. I'm not telling you to become that. It's a $500,000 coding job. I'm pointing at it because of why it exists. What companies pay for is not knowing the tool, it is closing the gap between we have AI and it changed the business. You can be the everyday version of that in your own workplace without writing a single line of code. So what does the everyday version actually do? It works out what should be built in the first place. Not build me the thing I asked for, but is the thing I asked for actually going to help? That is a diagnosis, and it is the whole difference between a builder and a consultant. Think of an excavator operator and a surveyor. The operator can dig a massive trench, exactly where you mark the X, faster than anyone else. But if the X is in the wrong spot, all you've done is move a mountain of dirt for no reason and make a massive mess. The builder is the operator, they dig where you point. The consultant is the surveyor, they work out where the X belongs before anyone starts the machine. Both matter, but the surveyor is the one who stops you digging in the wrong place. And most businesses do not know where their X is. They just know what hurts. A report takes too long, the admin team is buried, everyone is running little AI pilots, nobody can say whether any of them worked. So your job is not to be the fastest person at building a chatbot. Your job is to name the real problem. Not prompts, diagnosis. There are two ways to do this. You can go independent into other businesses, finding their problems and prescribing the fix. That is the AI agency idea, but framed properly. You are selling a solution to a specific problem, not automations. But the one more of you should look at is in-house. You become the go-to AI person inside one company and that one can be your current employer. The market is already paying for it. PwC's 2026 Global AI Jobs Barometer found the average wage premium for workers with AI skills hit 62%. It doesn't mean you can just fiddle around with the tools, watch some tutorials, and demand 62% more. It means AI on its own is not the scarce thing. AI plus domain knowledge, knowing how the work happens and being trusted with it, is. And in a lot of Australian workplaces, that is exactly what is missing. At the start, it is not even a job title. It sounds like, go ask Sarah, she knows how to use this stuff. Or Dave built that workflow, talk to him. That is where it begins. And that is who this channel is for. Not would-be founders or tech influencers, working Australians, employees, managers, tradies, nurses, accountants, people like me, a geologist who picked it up because it was interesting and now is just trying to work out how to make it useful. The question is not whether you can learn AI. You obviously can. It's what have you actually made better? Hold that question because there is a clock on it. Walking into an accounting firm today and saying that you can use Excel is absolutely ridiculous. Everyone uses Excel. But when spreadsheets first hit, being good at them was a real edge. AI consultant is heading the same way. The window is open now, not forever. So here's how you get an answer to that question before everyone else does. And I don't want it to sound like a corporate framework because the real version is messier. Most people start by asking, what can I automate? Wrong question. If you automate something that is not actually holding the business back and you spend a week shaving 20 minutes off a task nobody cared about, that's not going to get you a promotion or a raise. The better question is, where is the work actually stuck? Not the chore you personally hate, the thing that slows the whole team down, makes customers wait, or lives in one person's head so everyone stalls when they take leave. In accounting, it might be managing reporting. In mining or engineering, it is usually buried in the field notes or the long technical reports. The industry changes, the logic doesn't. You want a place where work gets jammed and where someone important would care if it got unjammed. Then, pick a number before you build anything. This is where projects die. People start making something before they've decided what success looks like. So when someone asks if it worked, the answer is maybe. Pick the metric. Hours saved a week, report turnaround time, error rate. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be specific. Because now you are not saying, I made a bot. You are saying, I cut a bottleneck. Run a small, safe test, one workflow, one controlled pilot where the risk is understood. Australian workplaces are not playgrounds. There is client privacy, professional standards, data you legally cannot paste into some random tool. Do that, and you are not the AI person, you are a liability. The valuable person sets the boundaries, what data is safe, what stays out, and where a human checks the output before it goes anywhere. And if it works, write it down, record it, 1 page. What was the problem? How did the old way work? What did you change? How did you keep it safe? And what improved? That page is the answer to what have you made better. It is the evidence for your boss or a recruiter or your next role, or even the basis of your credibility if you do decide to do your own consulting. And if you already own a business, your first client is sitting right there. Look at where quoting drags, where follow-up slips, where reporting eats into your whole Friday. It's you. Do this a few times and something shifts. The businesses look different on the surface, but the problems rhyme. Messy knowledge, weak handovers, slow reporting, the same customer questions on a loop. You stop seeing one-off tasks and start seeing the shape of the thing. That pattern sense is the part you can't get from a tutorial. It is exactly what Australian businesses are looking for. Let me make it concrete. Picture someone in a regional engineering consultancy. Not a developer, just the person who knows the reporting process. Every month, the team turns inspection notes, photos, and technical judgment into a finished report, and it drags because the information is scattered everywhere. So they build a small AI-assisted workflow, nothing reckless, no sensitive client data and random tools, no report leaves without an expert reviewing it. It just turns rough field notes into a structured first draft, off approved templates, with the human still in control. The metric is first draft time. Before, 6 hours. After, 3 hours. That is not replacing the engineer. It is taking out the friction. And now that person has a sentence. I found a reporting bottleneck, built a controlled AI workflow, kept expert review in place, and cut first draft time in half. That sentence is a career asset. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is all upside because there is a real warning here. Deloitte Access Economics has flagged 82 Australian occupations facing the highest risk of declining employment as AI takes over tasks that lean least on human judgment. And this kind of disruption does not announce itself with mass layoffs. It creeps. Vacancies quietly fall, graduate intake shrinks, a role doesn't get backfilled when someone leaves, and one person with AI starts doing what used to be done by two. That is the boring version, but boring disruption is still disruption. So the move is not panic, it is positioning. Be the person learning to redesign the work, not the person waiting for the work to get redesigned around them. The odds favour that bet. Jobs and Skills Australia reckons that only about 4% of Australian jobs are highly exposed to full automation. For most people, AI arrives not as a replacement, but as something that changes the task and what is expected of you. See that early, and you are ahead of it. Once you have a couple of those one-page wins, you formalize it. You go to whatever your leadership is with evidence instead of a pitch. The workflow, the starting number, the result, the case for making this part of your role. You will not find this job on Seek. You build it from the inside. So, to bring it together, you do not need to quit, start an agency, or become an engineer. You need to find a real bottleneck, tie it to a number, run a small safe test, and write down what changed. Do that once and you have a project. A few times and you have a track record. Do it inside an Australian business that cares about risk and trust, and you are no longer someone interested in AI. You are the person in the room with a result to point to, while everyone else is still pointing at the tool. And remember what I said at the start. That job title barely exists yet. That is the whole point. You are not late. You are early. The people who quietly become the person now, while there is no posting and no queue, are the ones whose names come up first when the role finally does exist. Not by quitting, not by building a brand, just by being useful on purpose where you already are. That's it for this one. Pull up a seat next week, regulars, while we try and work out what all this AI stuff actually means for us Australians.